My dear friends, this is a summary of the conversation that I had with my good friend Philipp, biohacker, athlete, philanthrope, entrepreneur, many more, in October. Unfortunately, we didn't record his voice, so I had to cut out all his precious words and just leave you with the summary of what I shared with him and commented on him. But don't be sad. We recorded another podcast because we just always have so much material to talk about in November, which is going to come out next. And meanwhile, however, I recommend you to check out his channels that are linked in the description for different content on entrepreneurship, business, but also his upcoming content where he shares a lot of material about supplementing, his training methods, his mindset, his training, his nutrition, and many more. So enjoy this summary. Thank you very much and see you soon. Bye.
That is something where I see you as a great example to me, because I myself have problems with this. I tend to always open most of the messages right away, because probably the psychological analysis is that subconsciously I suppose that I have to save everyone and solve all the problems right away, and that there are so many urgency and my ego likes to be needed. So I always suppose that I'm needed. But right now my teaching, my healing also is my newborn daughter, simply, who was born 2 weeks ago. I'm there for her, for them, for the girls all the time. So I need to learn that other people simply have less priorities, and that I have to logistically, learn to organize my life better. I have to structure, I have to prioritize. When I see the indigenous people here in the mountains, in the Colombian Caribbean, they have this idea that there's no hierarchy like the government, the school, the authorities, and then sometimes the family. But they have this idea that first there's yourself, but then there's the family. This is the highest authority. The family makes their first agreement, and then they make their agreement together with the next family, and then the tribe. But you don't give a shit, first of all, what the tribe on the next mountain thinks. This is getting into higher moral grounds with what is happening in the world right now. We have to give a shit what stupid people are doing somewhere else in the world. Why am I saying this? I think it's a very nice detail that you allow yourself to simply don't stress about other people's spontaneous requests. Probably you also have in mind the hormonal effect that this might cause overthinking, the cortisol that probably is produced during this, and how this affects your overall health and your testosterone levels. But I'd like to come back to indigenous people. We don't want to live naked in the Himalaya like the other yogis, but it's somehow also where we come from, where we can still learn from to integrate in our modern lifestyle. The tribe where I am is called the Kogi tribe. There's no electricity nor television. They have a very natural cyclic lifestyle, very adapted to the natural light. They don't even know what is sleep hygiene. They just have it. They don't need to enforce it to themselves. Actually, even them, they are not so attached to this perfect sleep of 7 or 8 hours. Often they have a fire going. They sleep together. So someone is always making noise, and there is like a lot of smoke. But their advantage is that they are always grounded. They're always touching the earth with their skin. So they have the natural electrons from the earth flowing to their body, reducing inflammation all the time, 24/7. They have the social support all the time. For us Westerners, often it's very challenging because we are enjoying a lot our perfect daily routine. They don't have it. Their whole lifestyle is like oriented towards the tribe. This doesn't allow them to be very successful or maybe outstanding or famous. On the other hand, they are always socially embraced, always supported. Of course, this is emotionally and spiritually can be an incredible energy source. They are far away from any Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, electric light, artificial light. Of course, their sleep is always better. I don't even remember why I'm telling this, but it's a beautiful anecdote to inspire our conversation. We were talking about the party, about the exceptions. So yeah, I think the exceptions make the rule. I also applaud to your discipline to be outstanding like this for 2 years in a row already.
Would it be correct to see that you are on the one side very talented, a concentrated, genius person, very huge intelligence, but that also has the shadow side or the dark side. You need a lot of time for yourself, like a very introverted person. You recharge while being with yourself. You can be extroverted. You're at the moment you're giving probably a public speech. You can go to the party, but you recharge by yourself. And maybe if you make a little quantum leap spontaneously with me, it could help you, it could inspire you, maybe give you new perspectives, new grounds to evolve on, to get more of a regular social interaction. I mean, of course, you have your friends, you have your girls also, you have your quality people. Maybe also it's a pattern in the Western society that we tend to be very exclusive in our houses. You probably socialize with your family in the house that you're living also.
After the separation of my first wife, I lost my son for 2 years. I had no contact with him. And I went to be in social interaction with them and with my own family 24/7. To 2 years, no social interaction at all. It was the darkest time in my life ever. Still, rationally, I had the conception that training and exercise are more important than my family. I would argue that first I have to be healthy and then I can share this health. Then in the years afterwards, when I was getting back to Colombia, traveled to other countries, just also renormalizing myself, becoming healthy again, starting to relate to other women again, seeing my son again, I would listen to many other people from the health and biohacking scene, and there were some amazing bodybuilders. Some of them were natural, some of them were not. All of them would agree that no matter how much they love training and how much they love the pain and the high afterwards, it's only the fourth or the fifth priority. The first priorities before that are definitely sleep, nutrition, and family. You can have the perfect training routine, stretching routine, recovery routine, but still can have problems with the gains. You can be injured, you can be lacking energy in exercise if the social factor is not right. So I always put my finger there to maybe trigger you or see if it doesn't trigger you, if you're fine there. Now you have the awareness, you have the reflection from me, and I give this to you, and now you can see also privately in your own meditations, when you feel even more secure just by yourself, contemplating about it, how and where you could still adjust and maybe get even 10 minutes more of quality time with someone. Hydration in and of itself, H2O inside the cells, doesn't need to necessarily come from exterior H2O. Our bodies can produce our own H2O because a molecule of fat contains a hydrogen atom. When we inhale, or when you get in the O2 and you don't drink water, but you do a dry fasting, half an hour, 1 hour, some people do it longer, way longer, half a day, 1 day, even many days, then the body will split up the fat cells, use the fat as a source of energy. The hydrogen atom will be combined in your alchemical laboratory, that is your body, with the O2, and then you have H2O. Even with 8% body fat, let's assume, you could go on a week-long dry fast. Theoretically, biologically, you could do it. Yeah, maybe you would have some hallucinations and talk to God, but you will be hydrated because your body will produce its own water. You should drink if you're thirsty, of course. But then there are several ways through nutrition, through some lifestyle habits, that will decrease our thirst. So we will naturally see that the body is well hydrated by itself. Very important aspect if we are athletes, but particularly if we do dry or wet fasting, we need the sodium. You can drink 5 liters of water and have low sodium in your diet. You will not be well hydrated because the body needs the sodium in balance with the H2O to actually move, transport the water molecules. I can drink half a cup of salt water until midday. I'm not thirsty, I'm well hydrated, I'm super concentrating, I'm moving around a lot. I don't have to bitch about water. Of course, if I'm thirsty, I will drink, but there you can experiment. We don't have to get to these 2 or 3 liters a day like the doctors tell us. This also helps us psychologically to stress less. Okay, I'm not thirsty, probably my body is hydrated. If I would be dehydrated, usually I'm aware of this because I'm a conscious human being, okay? The highly efficient tool of the cold exposure. We cannot be in this inflammatory state specifically in our skeletal in muscle all the time. This will also cause other problems long term. There are other moments where we want to be low in inflammation, which is particularly before the training and also when we sit down, do thinking work, concentration work. In the afternoon, it will also be inhibitory to your sleep, to spike again your adrenal glands with the cold exposure. To recover, you need to allow inflammation to naturally occur to heal your body. But if you suppress the inflammation, your body will not heal. Naturally, if you broke a bone, if you triggered a muscle growth, then you want the natural inflammation. It's like fiber. You don't want to lower the temperature. The body wants to increase temperature to fight off the disease. The amazing thing about cold exposure before the training is that first of all, you will have even a warm-up effect, so to say, because you will have cardiovascular constriction, which you don't want after the training. After training, you want cardiovascular dilatation to also support the inflammation. Before that, you want a constriction because it activates the muscle. And as it lowers the inflammation, the pain before the workout, you have a higher pain threshold, so you can do more reps and therefore stimulate even more muscle growth. And that is very perceivable by yourself also if you do a workout without and then another workout with an ice bath before. You will see you have much less pain, so you can do more repetitions and have therefore more hypertrophy. Muscle volume, not necessarily muscle strength also, but more muscle volume is the best health insurance that we can have for old age. We can pay the best health insurance, but muscle volume, because to grow muscle, we need inflammation. But when we have the muscles, they naturally produce themselves anti-inflammatories. So it's this investment of inflammation that later on is a reserve, is a storage of an anti-inflammatory producing tissue that when we just hang around, chill in the hammock or sit on the sofa or meditate without even noticing, the muscles produce anti-inflammatory hormones that will protect us from disease in the long term. So this is an amazing investment. Stretching can, in the wrong context, hinder, but in the right context, support muscle growth. The hindering aspect of stretching would be pre-exercise. You have a neuronal cell communicating with the muscle cell. There is an intracellular space between them. This, for example, would be a very small intracellular space. This is the neuronal cell and this is the muscle cell. This would be a large intracellular space between them. When they want to communicate, the brain cell says to the muscle cell, activate. If the distance is large, the communication will be worse. If the distance is small, the communication will be better. It has to do physically electrical conductivity. When we stretch before the training, what we do is this. So the hours after the stretching, when we train, the communication between our nervous system and our muscle tissue is not optimal. In my opinion, warm-up is not so important. You should do it if you have the time for it. It's not the highest priority. The best warm-up is static asanas for 90 seconds approximately, 220 seconds. It can be yogic postures like this if you want to do squats. So you have activated and you just breathe deeply. After 2 minutes, your muscles will already start to shiver. These are the stabilizer muscle fibers that are already pre-activating. Before the deadlift, on one leg, the other leg goes back. You have your back very straight. Focus on pushing the hips forward. This leg starts to shiver this here and this here. Bench press, simply go into a plank diamond here on the floor. Legs are outwards. You stay here for 2 minutes, have your chest activated. The whole upper body will start to vibrate. After 1 to 2 minutes, this is already warm. This is activated. It's called hyperplasia, the scientific term for it, whereby stretching you would literally split muscle cells into two and therefore increase the volume. You have one muscle cell that is already triggered to inflammate during the training, and then you stretch after the training, you split them, so you grow the muscle mass. Individual goal of mine is going into the front split and into the side split. So for this I do dynamic stretching. If I do shoulders and chest, I like to just hang. The black roll is amazing. amazing. You probably have experienced that stretching also has a very relaxing impact on our nervous system, on our mind, because we can also breathe out a lot of time. We soon quickly calm the nervous system, prevent cortisol, unnecessary adrenal stressors. After the training, we still create the space between the neuronal cell and the muscle cell, but this is not a huge problem after the training because you don't need to communicate anymore so efficiently. The mobility warm-up or work can be done. If it doesn't go into stretching flexibility, it can be even well before the workout, because the mobility is flexibility that comes from muscle strength. Meanwhile, the flexibility often has little to do with the muscle strength. Even the muscle has to deactivate to go deeper into the stretch, and then everything just relaxes and it even elongates like a rubber band. And this is something that we don't want to do before the workout, neither before the skateboarding. But the mobility work before the skateboarding, particularly, I guess it's a good advantage. Yeah. Yeah, please. Yeah, I will do more static stretchings than after my workout. See, not long. I think Huberman even suggested only 30 seconds, right? Actually, at the moment, we are biological engineers. We are mechanics of our biology. At the moment, we're not talking about spirituality, about ceremony, about celebration. And this is all like the even more subtle aspects of life where we want to go to, where we want to enjoy. When we have like 20 little Philipps running around and like messing up your life. But until we get there, we want to have clear the basis of our biology to be this stable and strong pillar for our friends, for our tribe, for our family, for them to rely on. So this at the moment is just pure mechanics.